Well, welcome to this week's 20-minute transformation. For those of you who haven't been here before, welcome. My name's Grant Herbert, and I am the founder and CEO of Professional Services Leadership Academy and also author of the book Professional Services Leadership. So, what this 20-minute transformation is all about is helping you to make one shift that has a big impact in your career and therefore in your overall life. I know that you've only got a limited amount of bandwidth, just like me. So that's why I want to keep these short and sharp and 20 minutes. I want you to get involved. There's a workbook that's there. If you haven't got it, just grab the link right now, but that's okay. If you don't get to see all this or you don't get to get the workbook, that's fine. You'll get a replay and you'll be able to go and have a look at that in the professional services leadership community. All right. So let's switch gears and go over to my other camera and we're going to get started. So, what we're talking about here is shifting the way that you lead, going from being transactional in everything that you do to being transformational. And this is going to help you to shift from being stressed out and busy and overwhelmed all the time to being an inspirational leader that gets more done. All right, so you've got the workbook there, as I said, and all of these shifts as they are laid out in the book, in the PSLA curriculum, everything that we do is around these 9 crucial shifts in those 3 areas of personal, professional, and people leadership. The shift that we're talking about this week, or where this comes from, is shift 9, which is how you get your results. And this is a shift of going from doing all the time, getting all your efforts from yourself, and the results therefore coming with how much you can get done, to through, to passing the baton to others, to delegating, you might call it, to getting everyone else involved and taking them on the journey as well and inspiring them to work with you so that you get the results that you all want. Unfortunately, when you are doing the do all the time, when you're just focusing on your own efforts, there tends to be not enough day to get it all done. But when you work through others, and I know this is not an easy thing to do, this is a big shift here. Firstly, in mindset, because we tell ourselves things like, well, it's just better if I get it done myself. It's a lot easier just to do it instead of teaching someone else how to do it. You know, we all say those things that are counterintuitive to what's really going on. And that is, we tell ourselves as well that we don't have enough time. But there's reasons that we make these decisions. So what I want to do is I want to step you through, firstly, a little bit of an understanding around how we need to redefine leadership in what's now called the intelligence age. All right. So if we draw a little continuum here, there's been 4 ages of leadership that have been documented and people have recognized. The first was the industrial age. The industrial age was a situation where you had a manager who was the only one that knew anything. No one else needed to know anything. The manager knew everything. You relied on your manager to tell you everything, and you just went and did. And the industrial age, unfortunately, has been brought forward to today by many people still. Then we shifted to the information age. The information age was when we got things like the internet and we were able to get heaps of information. So now, not only did the manager know what was going on, everybody could know what was going on. And this is where we first started shifting from being a manager to being a leader. And that was the new rhetoric. We then went into the imagination age. still leading instead of managing, but realizing that we didn't have all the information that we needed and we weren't always going to have that. And that was okay. But it was very frustrating to, as a leader, not know stuff. Now we've shifted into what everyone is calling the intelligence age. And the intelligence age goes beyond the imagination age, where it's even more fast paced and ever changing than it was before. And with the advent of generative, conversational, and agentic AI, we needed to think and do things differently. And this is where we need to become the new style of leader. And that's what I want to talk to you about today, because doing it the way that we're currently doing it is not going to work. We need to make these shifts first in our thinking and then in our behavior. All right. So what does all that mean? So it means we've got to make this shift, some of us still, from management to leadership. I've always said you need to manage process. However, you need to lead people. You're a human being. No one wants to be managed. No one wants to be told what to do. So we need to use a different set of skills when we're looking after and working with and inspiring people than we do when we're looking at our technical abilities and the management skills that we need to have. So what we have here is transactional leadership, which is just doing processes, steps, using systems. And that is managing, to transformational. And that's a different type of leadership altogether. And this is where we are leading people, where we're inspiring people, where we're taking them on the journey. And it's where there's not just a shift in understanding, but there's a shift in culture. There's a shift in behavior that sticks, and everyone grows, and we all become more capable and competent, and therefore confident in our ability to get things done. So we've got transactional, which is all about processes and procedures, and great for those things. But then we've got the transformational, which is about helping people to grow through the process of working with you. And what we need to do is, instead of having this as a flat line, we need to shift this. We need to tip the balance so that our leadership is less transactional and more transformational. So what I'd love you to do is, just on that continuum there, is just be honest with yourself and go, okay, where am I right now? Where do I sit? Am I being transactional? Am I relying totally on processes and procedures? Or have I developed and am using skills that are more transformational? And this isn't an opportunity to be down on yourself. This is just drawing a line in the sand so that you know where it is that you need to start. Okay, so now that you've got that, you've got a start point. And what I want to do is to help you to have more of an understanding around what you can change and the skills that you need to work on. All right. Now, to do this, we need to behave in certain ways. We need to have particular leadership styles which are pertinent to this age and where we are now. A lot of leadership is still being taught that was, from back then. Didn't really work all that well then, but it definitely doesn't work now. And you've heard me say it so many times. Today's leaders need to be taught how to lead in today's world. We need to be able to shift as the world shifts, or we get left behind. All right. So I've come up with, and this is from my experience in working, with thousands of people in professional services all around the world over the last, 17, 18 years, and seeing the transitions and in my own leadership as well. And I've come up with these 6 styles, which I believe are the styles that are going to help us to be the most equipped and to be the most effective as a transformational leader in the intelligence age. So let me share them with you. So the first one is what I call collaborative leadership. Now, collaborative leadership is exactly that. It's collaborating with others. It's not about hierarchical where I'm here and you're here and, I need to tell you what to do and all those sort of things. It's no. I'm leading a collaborative process where everybody's involved, where everybody has something to contribute. And instead of me just using my own skills, the skill of the collaborative leader is for me to be able to facilitate and integrate the gifts and talents and skills of everybody in the team. The next area of leadership or type of leadership, I'm calling purposeful leadership. And what a purposeful leader does is exactly that. They act on purpose. There's an intention. It's not just turning up. It's done in a methodical way. There's a reason for every interaction. There's purpose in everything that you're doing as a leader. The third type of leadership is adaptive leadership. As I said, the speed of change has never been faster than it is right now. So we need to be able to adapt, not just to what's going on around us, but we need to adapt our leadership style. And just as there are 6 styles here that I'm talking about, it's not a matter of choosing one. It's a matter of using a combination of those styles day to day within each interaction as it is appropriate and it's going to give you the result that you need. So the next one is really important and it's called coaching leadership. This is the antidote to performance management, or the alternative might be another way of saying it. This is being able to shift from directional to inspirational and transformational. This is being able to get things done through the development of others. This is being able to help people to learn who they need to become for that next level. And this is having conversations that promote that, but also help people to go along on that journey with you. The next style of leadership is thought leadership. And you've probably heard of that before. A thought leader is not just someone who knows something. A thought leader is known for knowing a certain thing. So a thought leader has a specialist area in their knowledge and in, what they propagate and what they talk about. And thought leadership comes in as being very essential as we navigate the current landscape that we're in. And then the 6th, and I definitely didn't want to say the last because it's definitely not the last on a linear list, right? This is one of the most important styles of leadership that we all need to have, and that's empathetic leadership. This is not leadership that is laissez-faire and says, oh, you do whatever you want to. No, this is what we use to go, I really want to understand your side of things. I want to understand it through your lens. So it's not about being sympathetic, which is I feel sorry for you. And it's definitely not being apathetic, which says I don't care. It's sort of in the middle there. It's the sweet spot that says, you know what, I don't have all the answers. You don't have all the answers. And, together we're going to get through this. This is where a leader can be more vulnerable and open and see that as a strength rather than a weakness. This is sometimes pushed aside as being fluffy and soft skills, but no, people who feel like they're heard and understood will do so much more for you. So there's 6 styles of leadership for the age that we're in right now, this intelligence age. And obviously, there's a lot more to that. I flesh it out a little bit in my book. But what I'm going to do as we continue through these through the year, we'll revisit those and we'll go deeper on those. And if you've got some questions around those, you can reach out with that as well. And we can definitely have that conversation. So that's our pretty well our 20 minutes for this time. And I really just wanted to give you the opportunity to understand what it is that you need to consider changing and working on as you navigate this current age of intelligence. You know, those particular styles that a transformational leader needs to work on. And the main thing is to make sure that we shift away from being that transactional only to helping people to grow, including ourselves. So I hope there's something in that for you. Reach out, continue to join the conversation, and I look forward to seeing you in the community where you can ask me questions. You can interact with each other, and together we can lift the leadership in professional services across the world.